Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, glad you're back on the Investigative Journal on this Friday, October 6, 2017 day on our calendar. And boy, we got a lot to talk about today, and I wanted to concentrate a little bit on the false flag Las Vegas shooting, as well as Trump's obsession with the NFL and kneeling for the national anthem and the media obsession to it. And to me, it's all a cover. It's to keep you occupied for what's really going on. For example, today there were reports in Aleppo in Syria that Russian troops had actually attacked Israeli forces there. 30 Israeli forces were killed in Aleppo. This has been confirmed by two news sources, but nothing on the mainstream here. And they're saying that several Americans were also killed by a Russian attack. Now, what they could do is say that it was a mistake. Of course, they were trying to get ISIS, etc. But this story's got to be looked at. It was reported by two news agencies overseas and also by Israeli news. So I want to keep an eye on that. But as far as, I'm not going to talk much about this Las Vegas thing because you're going to get a lot of it on the internet and also just ad nauseum coverage on the mainstream. Now, let's say it is a true event. How do they know it was the worst mass shooting in U.S. history? When did they start recording mass shootings? And what are mass shootings? What about some of the military attacks on Native Americans when America was still in form? I think more than 50 people and 500 were injured. And we don't know what attacks went on before we started coverage of this. And so what do? We keep a count from a certain date, and we say nothing ever happened in America before that. And one of the most unusual things, for some of you that haven't spent as much time on this flat earth as me, back 30 years ago, I can't remember any of this ever going on. Nothing. All of a sudden, within the last 10 years, or since 9/11, we've got crazy people shooting from Las Vegas. We've got all these school shootings, which never went on before. And we got all of these terror attacks, which never went on before, because the world has gone mad. Well, maybe the orchestration of the Jesuit order and the CIA, as well as all of these, the elite, what I call Vatican-led New World Order, has a plan to step up these type of attacks, as well as orchestrate more wars during this period in our life. And that makes more sense to me than what their news media is peddling. So when we start looking at these things and spending everything, I just turn on the mainstream media a lot and just see, and it's just constant coverage of this story, and it's to keep your attention off what's really going on. And I said to myself, well, what happened to North Korea? What happened to the orchestrated Jesuit wars? Well, they're working on them behind the scenes, and that's what we had to really worry about. You're talking about, now look, people ask me, well, how could they get away with 50 people? Have you seen any blood? If there's 500 people shot, there's going to be massive amounts of blood, and somebody's going to get a camera shot of it, outside of some of the false little shots they give you. And then, what about the people that died? Who are these people? Are we ever where did they take them? Where are the 500 people that went to these hospitals? Somebody had to get something that was more real, that was basically proving that this occurred. I mean, if you had a shooting at the OK Corral back in the wild days of the Wild West, you're going to actually see blood. People are going to have to carry the bodies away. Coroners are going to come. There's going to be people are going to actually, have more coverage in the local newspaper in that town where the OK Corral shooting took place. There'd be an actual picture of one of, what about Wyatt Earp and his boys killing people? There were pictures in the newspaper about it. And I remember 30 to 40 years ago, there were pictures of there were pictures, actually, if somebody was getting shot, you're going to see some pictures in the newspaper outside of what they give you, this loop on the mainstream news. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And somebody then said, well, how can they fake this? Now, you can probably go to the web and get stories out the yin-yang on how it was faked. But let me give you just a simplistic way they do it, okay? When you get a mass crowd like this, and you start hearing fake bullet shots, everybody's running, and then they got planted in there some people that are going to fall with the old Hollywood method of getting, I remember when I was in a scene in Hollywood once, they packed me with all this stuff that looks like blood. And then they told me once I get shot, to then hit this thing, I have the thing I press and the thing explodes. And, that was probably an old way of doing it. But they have their people planted, so people are falling as actors would fall. And then you got your cover-up now. Then you got your people in there who are apparently going to work with this plan. And they're ushering people out. They're protecting those that fell. And then nobody knows. And then they got their false plants who say, oh, I lost my child. And then you hear them on the news. And so they got it all covered. And it's like orchestrating a movie script, a movie scene. And they do it in real time. And then they cordon everything off and nobody sees everything. And everybody's so damn scared, they're out of there. And then they bring in their people to cover. Where are the journalists that show me? I want to see 10 dead people with blood. I mean, somebody had to get hit in the head. This is not, what are they? The guy's going to shoot into a crowd of whatever, thousands, and nobody gets blasted in the head? Come on. And there should be reams of blood all over the place. And you know why I say that? I didn't even look at the pictures this time because I know exactly what they were. I've done it for years looking at these things. And so I said, this time I'm not going to look at one picture. And I bet you what I say here today is the way it is. Now, if somebody thinks somebody has seen different, contact me. I'd like to see it. Okay? But they do the same thing all the time. They orchestrate this loop on TV and they play the same few shots over and over again to give you this idea that there was mass mayhem there. Now, they've created their goal. Everybody thinks it's true. And then you get to the point where psychologically it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter in one respect. I'm never worried about going out anywhere because, if they're doing false flags, nobody gets hurt. And everybody that's in the wrong place at the wrong time of a false flag when they try to report it, that's the people who actually die. Because they're the ones that are going to try to get to the truth, and so they got the CIA guys and the FBI watching out for those who are going to get in the way of their storyline or their movie script. But their goal for the mass population has been achieved. People are going to second-guess themselves about going out. And I don't know about you, but this whole idea of what they're doing, the Matrix and all of this stuff, fear, the constant assault on Americans, whether it be from the financial aspect, whatever, on people around the world, whether it be terrorism, orchestrated wars, etc. It is all geared to keep you in control, keep you in a box, so you don't do anything. See, people that are, what's the greatest thing about human nature? It's your life can be measured, I think, in one way. I don't think a human being has any value. And the only value you really have is the amount of risks you want to take in your life. Because life is a risk. And this kind of behavior by these orchestrated attempts keep people in a little box so they don't even want to go outside. So what kind of human being do you turn into? Because if you look back at your life, I think the times you were most pleased with yourself was when you had to take that risk that you didn't know what was going to happen in the future, but you stepped out and you did it, and you were successful. Or you failed, but then you did it again. But when they take away everything from you, as far as your freedom to walk out and you say, I want to take my, to do this. Oh, I can't because the financial system is bad. Oh, I think I'd like to start this, but we can't because there may be a terrorist attack this month and it's not worth it. Or they may say, you may want to say, I want to go out and do this, but oh, I can't because, somebody may be up in the 30th floor of this high-rise building waiting to shoot me. So you become kind of a trapped soul in this, what would you say? I mean, the more media attention, the more they control you through their mass media, the more you see the same, everybody in the world sees the same stories. They have the same reactions. And the only people, if you limit, control is very strange sometimes with the elite. If you limit people's ability to think and do things, and to step out and take risks, then they can do anything they want. They're the ones taking the risks, because they understand that people aren't going to do anything, and so everything is out there for their taking. It's like you go to a party, and everybody at the party gets a little note as you walk in. Now, the selected people, the note reads, "Have a good evening. Enjoy yourself. This is going to be the best party of your life." The note for everybody else that walks in, like people like us, is, "The food may be tainted. Please watch what you eat." And there has been cases of poisoning from certain drinks that we're serving tonight, but we think they're safe. But we're just putting this out for because we want to help you have a good time tonight. Now, guess what? You going to eat anything at that party? Are you going to drink anything? Are you going to step out and enjoy yourself? No. You're going to not even want to taste the food. You're not going to want to drink anything. You're going to leave. And so you leave the party for the elite, and they get it all. They get all the food, all the drinks, everything. And that's how it works. That's just a little example of how it works. Now, I want to ask you a question. You ever hear the story that you can't drink ocean water? And if you do drink it, you're going to die, Well, in a sense, yes. I mean, you can't live on ocean water and not drink fresh water. But did they ever say how much ocean water? I mean, when I was scuba diving, I'd swallow ocean water just because sometimes I can remember doing, safety tests, and all of a sudden, man, they pull out your mask, and all of a sudden they pull out your, your breathing system, and you take some water down. I mean, I didn't die. Now, let me give you a quick little test here about risk. Okay, let's say you're not feeling well. Let's say you want to look for something. Now, I checked out how to drink ocean water with fresh water and to make your body feel much better. And then I read everything in America about it, and they warned you, don't do it, it's dangerous, the water is polluted, etc., etc. Now, all you hear is radiation coming out of Fukushima, right? Dead fish. So who'd want to drink that water, right? Well, did you ever know that the ocean is a natural filtration system? Kind of works like a natural filtering system. How do you think these animals have survived all these years? Despite the pollutions in the air. Because the ocean has a tendency to clean itself. So what happens is, let's say I say to you this. This morning, I woke up and my left nostril was, you ever wake up and your nostril's so clogged you can't breathe and you're kind of gasping for air and you breathe hard and then you try to figure out ways to do it? Well, if you take a mixture of, I'm not telling you to do this because you won't take a risk because you're controlled by the New World Order. You won't do anything but what they really tell you, right? You're going to listen to what the American Medical Association says about this, and they're going to warn you it is dangerous for your health to digest any type of ocean water. Now, our bodies are made of water. Now, just wait what I'm going to tell you. I took a mixture, if you take a mixture of 1 cup of ocean water, 3 cups of fresh water. You mix it together. Now, in this case, I put it in a little sprayer. And I sprayed it in my nose. Guess what? In a very short time, my left nostril was completely clear. Okay? Now, I've had an earache, and I've done the exact same thing. and it goes away. So, I started to think to myself, I hear all these crazy ways of curing yourself, and making yourself, protect yourself against cancer and all these things. And you never know where they're coming from, so you have this kind of tendency not to want to try anything. And what is it that makes you believe that? I mean, I was doing some stories on a product called MMS, and people contact me, Greg, what do you think? I just didn't have the confidence to take it because I didn't know the man who was push-peddling this stuff. But, in a second sense, what I did was I started researching this on ocean water because I remember scuba diving all the time, and I'd feel so much better after being out in that ocean water. Getting the vitamin D, maybe you get it through being, ocean water has a lot of vitamin D because it's in the sun all the time, right? Now, but it's dangerous according to everybody I've read in America. Now, probably there's some people in America that do it. Now, if you take 1 cup of ocean water and 3 cups of fresh water and you put it in a little container, drink 1 of those every day slowly. You can put some lemon in it, lime, whatever. And guess what? There's a few people I talk to, they feel much better. They've never gotten sick. I know somebody's been doing it for a year and a half. Now, I just started it last week, right? And I don't feel sick. Now, I'm not saying do it. That's up to you. It's ocean water. It's free. Then you're going to say, well, where do you get it? Well, go out to the ocean. I mean, I wouldn't take it on a rainy day if you don't understand, how the sewage systems work. But I go on a normal day and I fill up a 5-gallon jug and I take it home. And then people say, oh my God, that's polluted. How do you drink, I'm saying it can't be any worse than what the hell they give you in a bottle. Who knows what's in that bottle you drink? And it's made by man. This is out there. Free. Okay. Don't drink ocean water. Now, you know the stories of people out on the ocean without any water. Of course, you're not going to survive for a long time, but there was a story about guys from Spain that understand this very well. And they survived they were showing how you can survive longer by small doses of ocean water. But let's not go there. This is kind of a idea of just to make yourself see how far you'd go risking, And what do you take risks for? Do you listen to man? Now, here's what I did. I went to the websites in Spain, and they have a completely different view on this. And they have certain experts that have been doing this for years that treat people this way, and they're fine. Now, one problem has ever come up. If you know how to take it, I mean, you're not going to sit there and drink 5 gallons of ocean water. Sure, it's like taking a bottle of whiskey. You're not going to drink 2/5 of whiskey in 5 minutes. You'll be dead. It's the same principle. But if you know how to mix it, like one of the mixtures they say just for remedial therapeutic feelings, if you feel tired, if you feel as if you don't have the energy. Now, as your body gets older, maybe certain people that get older would like to try this. Well, how much are you going to risk? Now, here's the deal. I didn't risk just on somebody who's saying this on the radio like me. No. I did everything I could to make myself feel comfortable. And then I talked to people that did it. And I actually watched somebody drink it. And then I actually tasted it. And I actually said, well, I didn't get sick. I took a couple sips. No. And then I did my own little mixture. And I don't feel any different now. And what I've heard is that it takes about a month before if you're an average human being, to start feeling a little better, to start cleaning out your system. And you can test it out yourself. I would recommend not just listening to me. But that's what a lot of people do these days. They listen to the mainstream media, and anything they say, they will believe. So, for example, they believe that this guy... Now, let me finish on the water, then we'll get to this guy, this terrorist. And then we're going to get to what's really going on in North Korea, maybe. And here's the deal. So I checked out these websites and people in Spain, and they do this. So I got this little test, I got this little bottle right in front of me right here, and at the break I'm going to take a sip, or a little bit more. And I will be back for the second half hour. I'm not going to keel over and die unless I get struck by lightning or something, but it's not raining. What else could happen? Oh, many things. You listen long enough. You see, there's a way to look at this. If you listen long enough to all the foretellers of gloom, including myself. Remember me last month? I'm saying September is going to be, well, it was a bad month. I don't remember a good September in a long time since 9/11. Now, if you don't think Puerto Rico is important, well, it's just Puerto Rico. That hurricane, it was just Texas. It was just, what was the other one? Florida. Didn't destroy New York. Didn't destroy America. Just those people. How many people are dying in Puerto Rico right now? It's a test. Don't you see? They're testing this or weather modification, just like they tested terrorism back in the 80s when I was almost killed in Rome. So, as far as drinking this water, it's just my idea of showing how much are you going to risk. You want to feel better? Okay, do your homework, see if it works for you, talk to people that have done it, and see. Now, the one little thing you always say, well, God, this has got to be terrible ocean. I mean, it's got to be polluted. Everything has it down, but the ocean is a natural cleaner of itself. And I feel comfortable. I go out to the closest point that I'm at. I'm not going to travel like 800 miles to get my ocean water. Go out, I live near the ocean. I'll go right there on a day when there's not many people in the water. I don't go on the 4th of July when everybody's out there peeing in the water. No, on a morning when nobody's there, maybe a few surfers. And I remember I even had this one surfer. I was walking out, pulling up my pants, up to my knees, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm trying to get some water." He said, "Hey, let me get it for you." Old man? I said, he didn't say old man, but that's what I thought. So he went out with his board and he brought me back 5 gallons of water. And I said, "Hey, can I give you something?" And he said, No, that's great. And he said, "What are you going to do with that water?" And you know what I did? I chickened out. I said, next time I'll tell him the truth if I see him. I said, I got an aquarium, saltwater aquarium, and I needed to get some more water. But anyway, so I'm going to keep telling you how I feel on my adding. So it's not true in my mind. Just like the earth is not round and spinning at incredible amounts of speed, in my mind, it also isn't true that you can't drink salt water. It depends on how much you drink is what's important. It's like, well, you can't drink whiskey. Yes, you can, but if you drink too much, you're going to kill yourself. That's a given. And if you drink too much salt water, you're going to kill yourself. But if you know how to mix it, it seems to be helping a lot of people. I know somebody, man, it's an incredible story. And then I have to say, is it psychological? But no, I don't think so. And my little test with the nostrils in my ears show me that, hey, I'm going to take this risk and see where it goes. So you're only measured by the amount and the type of risks you will take in your life. And that's what measures a human being. So if you want to know how to get out of the matrix, you're going to have to take risks that may put you in danger, but you're going to have to do it. And that's my second reason, because I told my listener I'd give you some ideas of what the matrix is and how to get out of it. And one of them is this. You're going to have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be completely controlled by them. And that's not good. So anyway, we'll be back. I'll be back if I don't die from the ocean water. But I'll be back in 3 minutes, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Back in 3 minutes on the Investigative Journal.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Okay, we're back on the Investigative Journal. See, I'm here. I didn't pass on into the other world just by drinking a little bit of salt water. And I'll keep reporting on that as we go on. But let's switch over here. First of all, a couple comments on this Las Vegas false flag shooting. People, like I said, many people are going to say it's impossible to pull off something like this. If they can pull off World War I and World War II, and so many things like the hidden life of Joseph Stalin, the hidden life of Adolf Hitler, hiding his death, things like that. If they can pull off getting the masses of the people of the world to believe the world is the way they tell us, the shape of the earth and size, they can do anything. And it isn't hard to do this. I mean, they do Hollywood movies that are more difficult. I mean, they got you believing it. People believe more things that go on in Hollywood. They believe it is true, intergalactic space, traveling, they believe how many people go to, remember the old Star Trek conventions? They're in their mind. I think they think it's true. And if they can get you to believe that, they can pull off one of these stunts and make it seem, just imagine if you were there. And let's just imagine it's fake bullets. But you don't know that. And you see people falling around you. Oh my goodness, you're not going to stop and say, now, you know what? In the old days, did anybody, now, I want to know if you were there and somebody fell, let's say it was a false flag guy that was hired to play a part, and his job was to fall down and pretend he got shot in the stomach. And he maybe hits that little thing that makes it look like blood. How many people ran by him, didn't give him help? And did anybody ever stop for one of these people and try to help them and find out that this guy wasn't for real? I mean, it's incredible to me. How many people stuck around really? They acted as if 50 people fell, 500 fell, and the rest of the whole group just left. They didn't stop and help them. Just think of yourself out on a battlefield in the war, where real bullets are being fired. How many times the people, I've talked to many veterans who stayed by the side of their buddy who was shot or dragged him to safety. How many people did that there? You hear any stories like that? No. Because there was nobody really shot. And the people that fell had protectors. And they made it into a production. And I bet you if we look deep enough, I haven't even looked at it, because I wanted to do an experiment, because I've looked at so many of these false flags and looked at pictures and all this kind of stuff. And I wanted to do it a little different this time. I didn't want to look at any, and I bet you the same thing occurs. I bet you everything I say here you can bear out as fact. But I bet you this was a bigger scale thing. They're always getting a little bigger. Sandy Hook, then they moved to this. Now it's a big one. In a big, huge country western concert. Everybody's fleeing. How many people actually stuck around if anybody was really shot and tried to help them? Oh, I heard one. I ran back for my wife. They give you maybe 3 or 4 people that they hire to get on the media. But I want to know, did anybody run into a fall, like the guy falls down and you go to help him and then he looks at you and goes, oh really? I'm not dying. Just go away. Or he plays dead or something. And did anybody touch the blood and see it's not real blood? Can anybody see a head get blown off? That may sound crazy, but if a guy's shooting like he did, somebody's head's going to get blown off. Did anybody see that? They show you a guy, I bet, that got shot in the leg or something. They always do that. Okay, and I haven't even looked at the pictures. And I don't want to. But I can tell exactly this is how they do it. And they do it all. Now the big thing is about the guy. They automatically had, he was up in the 30-something floor, then he shot him. They all shoot themselves to death, Why don't they just stand up there? Remember the old Jimmy Cagney movie? I could have been something, Ma. And he sat there with that machine gun and just was going to plow down as many cops that came at him as he could. But here's what the deal is. If a guy is sitting up in a 32nd floor room, I don't care who he is, and he's intent on shooting down there, okay, knocks out the window. They say he shot one guard that came, but at that point, he knows his days are over. He can give up, but they'll probably shoot him anyway. Who knows? But this isn't real. Because here's what should have happened, if that was real. He should have then, anybody, shoots like that, is going to take a last stand against, like he's in the Alamo and the cops are coming in, and he's got that door. Come on in, guys. What are they going to do? Did they throw in any kind of, tear gas or anything? No, nothing. It was he shot himself before the police got there. Now, who the hell would do that? Did Jimmy Cagney do that in that movie? Hell no. I mean, if he's shooting all these people dead, why not take out a few cops that are trying to get me before they get me and let them shoot me? But no, he's going to shoot himself. That told me this is as fake as it comes. And then you can't prove it, right? That's what they think. Well, we don't know what this guy's in his mind. And then they give you this cock and bull story of who this guy was. And my goodness, it had to be a setup. This guy, Oh boy, he's probably, who knows who he is? Who knows if he's even dead up there? They don't tell you. You know, that's the story. I bet you that he didn't shoot himself. And they escorted him out the back way, and he's in some island now being paid millions of dollars for playing his part, and he says, hell with my reputation. You know, is he a real person to begin with? That's another question. And that's what I would look at. You know, where does this, you know, is he real? Did they create this guy for this? And then I've got, of course, his brother who would work for the CIA as well, or had been paid to do this. And then he's got his girlfriend who's being paid to do something. She took off for the Philippines 2 or 3 days before. And supposedly there was $100,000 in a bank account for her. Now the FBI says they brought her back. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. And the whole media, ad nauseum, what are his motives? Well, what do you think his motives are? He's going to kill people. It's pretty simple. Well, was it religious? No, he didn't fall into that category. Was it political? No, he didn't fall into that category. Was he a terrorist? Well, no, ISIS said he was, but no, he's not. He didn't fall. And the last thing is, he doesn't fall into any category. And guess why they do that? They want anybody to think that anybody on your block has the ability to be a terrorist and kill 500 people. So you don't want to talk to anybody in your neighborhood anymore because that guy behind there, and especially, let's say he's a loner and he doesn't come out. Oh my God. Johnny, don't go over to Mr. Smith's house. He may shoot you. You know, that's exactly what they're doing. You know, think about yourself. You don't have any, you're not going to kill somebody for religious purposes. You're not going to kill somebody for political purposes. You're not going to kill somebody. You have no motives whatsoever. And that's what they're saying. This guy doesn't fall into the FBI profile of a assassin like this. And neither do you or me. So maybe that's what they're looking for. They're saying, hey, anybody, just like you or me or anybody, you could be a potential assassin. So you better watch out for your American people. This is so ridiculous. I mean, I can't even believe I live in these times. Wasting my life listening to these people talk. I mean, it's getting to that point. I believe it's a waste of time. And you know what? I'm so saddened that I do radio like this because I prefer doing anything else now because it's getting really boring for me to spend my life. You know, I've taught you about the Vatican-led New World Order, and that should be enough. And I want to go on to do other things. I mean, I got other risks I want to take in life outside of sitting here talking about these idiots who are making everybody believe that this stuff is real, that the wars are real, that the planet, at the end of the day, it's a planet. You don't even know what you're walking on, and you believe them. Even though you may not believe them, you still do. So get the hell out of the matrix, man. Do it. I'm looking for any escape. You know, maybe I'm drinking this water just to kill myself. I don't know. But I know it's not that. But here's the deal. You don't die from ocean water, okay? If you drink it in the right amounts. And people in Spain and other places in Europe have been doing it for years. But here in America, you know the real reason they don't want you to do it? Because they don't want you to be healthy. And it's free. What are they going to start doing? They're going to prohibit you from going into the ocean and taking water? They could make it a crime. If they see somebody with a 5-gallon jug of ocean water, they're going to arrest you. $1,000 fine. You can't take ocean water. I mean, it's your water. I mean, I don't even know why you should pay for water to begin with. There's a lot of things that go on that we take for granted. Why do you pay for it? I mean, water is something that should be free. Air, well, they're going to start paying for the air? You're going to walk out. You can only take 50 breaths today, and then every breath after 50, you're going to owe us a dime. And then they're going to average out the normal breaths a human being will take in a day, and then they'll bill you. That's coming. Bill you for the air you breathe. Bill you for the water. They're going to bill you for stepping on their sidewalk. And then, guess what? They're going to bill you for everything that you own, everything that you do, everything that you see, everything that you breathe, everything that you hear. There's not going to be one way that you're going to ever feel like a free person again in this world unless you get the hell out of the matrix. And you do it. You take the risk, whatever it may be. And I'm not sounding like I'm saying, man, you can live a complacent life. And see, getting out of the matrix doesn't mean to do something irrational. I think you can do it without even leaving your home. And that's another story I'll do. And I think you can do it and become, you see, what they're trying to do is take away your self-dignity as a human being. Your belief systems, they're not allowing you to believe anything or to explore. How many risks are you going to take with your own belief systems? I'm going to risk thinking about this today. It may lead to something even better. They don't want that. They don't want thinking, rational people who want to step out on a limb, to do the impossible, to think the impossible, to say, hey, screw you, New World Order. I don't really think you exist. And really, they don't. They have created a false reality in everything that we've done. I don't care what you mention. You could say, I'll just think of words. Homosexuality. Yeah, they've created their own false homosexuality and what it really is. Think of everything. What have they done? Sports. Supposed to be a pleasurable experience for people to get exercise. But what's it turned into? It's turned into idolizing heroes. And money, you're always hearing bribery stories, and the athletes are getting paid enormous amounts of money for what? It's the old Roman Empire. You ever go back to some of the old Roman Empire stories with the gladiators? Same thing. They destroy what sport really means. So kids that go out to play baseball now, they don't go out just to enjoy the game. They go out hey, I can make $1 million like Mark McGwire. I can make $1 million if I learn how to swing this way, if I learn how to catch. But that's not the reason to do it. There's no one that loves baseball more than me, and I'm bringing this up because the playoffs have started and my Cubs are in it again. But I'm going to tell you, in the 30 or 40 years that I've been watching the Chicago Cubs, or even longer than that, and going to 30 baseball games this summer, I lived near Wrigley Field. Back in the old days, and I say old days because it was even better. I bet you it was better when baseball first started in the 1800s. I bet you it was better in 1920. Disregard, the Black Sox who thrown World Series games. But I bet you it was better. The sport was still there. It wasn't all money. I remember even when I was growing up, I didn't think of money. No, there was not one. I did not think of playing baseball for money. And I knew a guy I graduated with from high school that got drafted by the Phillies. And I played ball with him for 4 years. In football and baseball. He didn't even think about the money. And he didn't get that much money for signing. I mean, the guy turned out to be a pretty good baseball. I mean, he was on the Phillies for years. And he hit a lot of home runs, and he didn't, I've talked to him, and he runs a bratwurst shop now, and he said, man, if I'd have played today, I'd be a billionaire. And yeah, I remember talking with him. He didn't get into it for money, he just was utterly gifted to hit the ball. Couldn't catch. I remember one time, he used to play catcher for us, and we put him in left field. And a fly ball came out and bounced right off his forehead. So, but, let me tell you this, to his improvement, I watched him hit many, many home runs, even in high school, 400-foot home runs as a freshman in high school. That's true. And we'd sit there in awe. The guy was just extremely talented. But he wasn't there for money. And I remember throughout his career, occasionally I'd follow him. He wasn't making that much. And he never got into it for that reason. And as he was maturing in baseball, it was just starting to change. And he could see these young guys coming in, he would say. Coming in. I talked to a couple other ball players I knew, and they got him angry because they were a different breed. They come in cocky. They come in like, hey man, I'm here I make more money than you, and you're a major league pro. It used to piss off a lot of people, and I don't blame them because they're changing the culture of the sport to turn it into one of these kind of Roman Empire games now. Now, baseball still, to me, is the purest of all. And don't get me wrong, I will be watching my Cubs. Don't get around me when the Cubs are on. I throw things. I get angry. I get happy. I run around like a kid again. But, I remember when baseball was like that. I remember when I was, in college, I'd come home And I'd go out to the Little League park and I'd help all these kids learn how to play the game, you know? And it was never a question of money. But now, I've talked to these parents like in Simi Valley, in Thousand Oaks, California, where all these rich kind of yuppie parents live. And all of them are like, you know, they're cutthroats at baseball games, and they're driving their son to, you know, every day he's got to hit 100 baseballs. Every day he's got to do this. And a lot of these kids don't want to do that, but they want the money. You know, I'm going to give them every chance to make $2 billion. That's how they're controlling people. It's the whole, now, I'm not even going to get into football and this NFL thing, because that is basically just insane. And these players, you know, look, if you don't I don't really care if you like America or not, or if you stand for the flag or you don't. But there are a lot of people that do, and that's who they're gearing this for. I'm not gearing it towards a person like me. I don't like these cocky guys using it for their own little, you know, experiment and being coaxed and being, you know, I believe there's an orchestration going on here too. This has been planned for a reason. And you can get stories on that as well, but everything has changed in sport. So they've done it there. How about medicine? Where's the family doctor? Where's the humanity? All you hear is this crazy talk, we're going to get better health care. The Republicans they're not going to do anything. They work together with the Democrats. It's all a game. And the health care is never going to get any better. It's going to get worse. You don't have any doctor. You know, I have a fear going into a hospital. I mean, I really do. I mean, people say, why don't you go? I think I'd rather die up on a mountain being treated by some Indian shaman or something than to head to one of those. You got all this, you know, there's this, you know, the skin thing that you get this bacteria and then you die and then they leave stuff in your body. They make mistakes. I mean, I've heard stories where we got to cut the guy's leg off and they cut the wrong leg off. Then what are you going to do? Or they take the wrong patient in and do a lobotomy, and it was supposed to be Jack, but they actually did it to Joe because some screwball nurse didn't know how to put the chart in the right bed. I mean, I tell you, I wouldn't trust any of these hospitals anymore. And what I'm getting at is, over the years, this has gotten worse. And, you know, I'm using a few, you know, like the sports analogy is a great one because, you know, you look at the way, you know, there's certain times you want to just enjoy yourself, don't you? I mean, is there anything? People are like on this kind of escalator ride to also, you know, I get a little upset too. You're not going to, look, I'm not one of these people that, you know, I've got to sit up 20 hours today and study everything so I can do that. No, I'm not that kind of, take it as it comes. I'll tell you, as soon as I'm done with this show, I'm going to be watching the Yankee game. And who did they play? Cleveland. And I think Houston's playing Boston right now. So, yeah, and then tomorrow we got the National. I'm going to spend time doing that because it's enjoyment. And I'm going to pretend that these players aren't just doing it for money. And, you know, once you get it, yeah, look, it's pretty easy to say you're not doing it for money when you're making $20 million a year. And, well, how many risks? What can you know, you ever think about this? Baseball's a risk. You can do a lot of things, and, you know, how many guys are going to take the easy way out because they know if they get hurt, they lose their they could lose that $20 million paycheck. When you're making $1.50 for a baseball game, the hell with it. I'm going to steal second base. Hell or high water. But when you're making $20 million, you might say, I better not. Maybe I'll pull my hamstring. I think I'll hold back today. So it affects the game. It's not the pure game that it was. I mean, I see so many strikeouts now. Man, these guys let's use my old buddy who played. He struck out. Look, he wasn't the pure, you know, punch and Judy hitter, as they say. You know, like the guy who can get on base. Baseball's a great sport because if you fail 2 out of 3 times, you're still a star. You know, it's really good. The only worst sport as far as failure is horse racing. But if you think about it, the game's changed a lot. I mean, I used to enjoy watching baseball 30 years ago a lot more. You saw a lot more action. You saw a lot more hitting. Now you see strikeouts or home runs. I've never seen as many as in my life. But these guys who strike out, bat 600 times in a year and they strike out 290, they still get a lot of money. Now, back in the old days, man, they wouldn't even be on the team because they were saying, you got to hit the ball. That's part of baseball. Hit the ball. And you're not going to hit it if you strike out 300 times out of 600 at bats. You got to hit it if you're going to make the team. You got to catch it if you're going to make the team. You got to run. You got to know what you're doing. You got to think. And these guys, I imagine, they're worried more about their agents and, the tickets they got to buy for all their adoring fans and who's the next media guy. And this seeps into baseball. But it's, like I said, if you look at all the sports, it's probably still the purest, I think. And that's just me. But I never did get around to North Korea, and thank God, because I didn't really want to talk about it. I mean, who knows what they're doing there? We know Kim Jong-un is a Jesuit controllee. He's being controlled by them. That family's been groomed by them for years. And they always pick out a tin horn dictator to spark off a war. But, like I said, this war could spark off in two different places. The Middle East, which is going on right now. I heard about that story, the Russian. Now, I don't know if that's true, so we'll check it out. But I wanted to report it since two people, and one credible person I've seen out there reported it. So I wanted to bring that to you, and so maybe you can find out more information. And send it to Greg Beacon at gmail.com, and you can get my show every day, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Time on First Amendment, or go to my website at greganthonysjournal.wordpress.com. And please, please, please press that donate button because we're listener-sponsored, and we can't get along without it because they do not want, these advertisers will not back you if you start talking like I do. And they will not do it. They will not do it. And especially when they hear, he drinks ocean water. He must be nuts. I wonder how much I drank when I scuba dived for all those years without knowing it. I still was around. But anyway, we're running out of time. I'll be back tomorrow on Friday. Oh, and by the way, at the beginning of the show, I said it was Thursday. This is how I'm all screwed up. It's from the ocean water. So it is Thursday, not Friday. I said Friday. It's Thursday, and I'm going to run the show. Even though I said Friday. And just bear with me while I'm drinking my ocean water. See you tomorrow on the Investigative Journal.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.